The BBC investigation reveals human rights abuses including torture, rape, forced abortion, and enslavement of Nigerian, British, South African, and American nationals who are members of the Synagogue Church of All Nations. The BBC says evidence was meticulously gathered for more than 2 years. At a formal presentation and private screening of the 90-minute documentary titled Disciples, The Cult of TB Joshua, guests from the media, civil society and religious organizations were of the view that although the leader of the church is not alive, the institutions of state should fish out questionable characters who use philanthropy to hide their deeds.
It is not an indictment on the church. It is an indictment on who is accused. And it's quite unfortunate that he is not alive to defend himself. All this would have been very, very good if he is still alive. And when he was alive, what moves were taken to confront him with these issues and get him convicted?
The death of a person does not mean that the issue is dead. There are equally important and many victims who have suffered as a result of the man's atrocity. We have to be bold as African journalists to tell it as it is once it affects people.
The church is a corporate entity. So the fact that the head of the church is dead, it's a committee. They have a board of trustees. So the law can go after the board of trustees. This kind of enormous criminal conduct or acts cannot take place without something happening.
The BBC said the investigation started before the death of TB Joshua on June 5, 2021, in response to why it took long to bring the allegations to public space. Although some critics say the documentary is an attack on Christendom in Nigeria, the BBC disagrees.
The church synagogue probably started even way before I was born. Now this is it. For the generation who we have told this story, who have seen the film, decades to come, if that church, the name is still standing, we would always remember this film. We would always remember this story. So now, this one I'm pushing out to our institutions in Nigeria. What are we going to be doing? What are we saying? Yes, the pastor is late. But for all I know, the institution, the church in question, was built on his name. The actions on his name.
The call is for government to beam its searchlight on the many TB Joshuas, investigate the BBC documentary, and do what's right within the confines of the law.
If we keep talking a lot about this, it's beyond TB Joshua. There are so many TB Joshuas out there in form of religious leaders. Some of them are political leaders, because we also need to put this in the broader conversation around about leadership, whether within the Christian faith or Muslim faith or whatever faith. Leaders must be held accountable. We're finding this out there already, and nothing has been done so far. So, and I think for me, it's about the role of our state institutions to ensure that there are further investigations done.
I haven't seen what has happened now and the kind of coverage that BBC has given the story. I think it will go a long way in encouraging more people to come out, and it will also go a long way in sending messages to, any institution or any individual anywhere who is currently perpetuating similar acts, because you never can tell. There might be people who are replicating TB Joshua somewhere in some corner of the country or in some corner of the globe right now.
This type of issues worries us, disturbs us. And at any point we had our meetings or we hold meetings, we discuss them. But the problem is we know them, it exists. We hear them every day, we even feel them. And we discourage people of God from this, patronizing this type of people.
Born on June 12, 1963 in Arigidi, Akoko in Ondo State, Nigeria, TB Joshua founded the Synagogue Church of All Nations in 1987 with a few members and later expanded to have large followers within and outside Nigeria. He undertook philanthropic activities, and in 2011, Forbes listed him as the third richest pastor in Nigeria with an estimated net worth of between $10 and $15 million. The consensus now is that the government should muster the will to check human rights violations exemplified by the BBC report.